Hearsay is confusing. And this whole notion of truth of the matter asserted oftentimes scares students. And I think it scares students because they think they know it. And there's this great, I was with the learning science team at Kaplan a few weeks ago, and they talked about this thing called illusions of competence, where because you get the right conclusion on a multiple choice question, you now think that you understand the concept. And that's not necessarily true. Right? It's like, okay, if I'm shooting foul shots, right? I'm trying to get it right into the basket. If I bank it, which nobody tries to do, and it goes in, you still get a point. Hey, if you bubble in the right answer on the bar, regardless of why you got it right, you get a point. But in practice, we want you to get it right for the right reason. I don't want you to have an illusion of competence. I want you to have competence, because competence is going to lead to confidence. So this truth of the matter asserted issue, think about it real straightforward. Typically, most things, we need it for its truth, right? Let's say that the prosecution is trying to convict Chris Fromm, yours truly, of murder. And you happen to be walking by a house one night and you hear bang, bang, bang. And someone screams out, "Chris Fromm, why did you have to shoot me? I'm too young to die." And you're like, wow, that's a crazy thing to have heard. And you go back to your house and you go to bed. The next day, knock, 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 cops are at your door. Hi, did you have an opportunity to hear anything odd or strange last night? Well, come to think of it, I did. I heard somebody in that house next door yell out, "Chris Fromm, why did you have to, shoot me? I'm too young to die." Well, the cops are going to use your testimony from what that person said. And you're like, whoa, that person was the declarant. You don't know who it was, but you were there, you heard it, you have firsthand knowledge. So you're a percipient witness who's testifying about what you heard in a situation. Now, does the prosecution want that simply to say that was heard? No, the prosecution needs that to prove that Chris Fromm is guilty of murder, because that person is dead. You didn't see anything happen, and I ain't talking. The prosecution is going to have a dead body, is then going to have your testimony against Chris Fromm being offered for its truth, to prove, hear me, to prove that Chris Fromm was the shooter. That would come in as a dying declaration. We have an unavailable declarant, says something that goes to the cause or circumstances of their death, and it's a criminal homicide case. All the boxes are checked. Coming in for its truth, we just established all of that. But what's this not? Give me an example, you say, of something that's not being offered for its truth. So I think like the 20th of October, right? I'm at Trader Joe's, our local grocery store, and I'm pushing my son Christian in the shopping cart through the aisle. And he says, "Dad, I want a pumpkin." And there's that big old box of pumpkins sitting there. So I say, okay, when I stop the cart and I walk over and I'm looking at the box of pumpkins, and there's a lot of different pumpkins. There's long ones, there's skinny ones, there's fat ones. Some of them are kind of dented a little bit. You want to get the perfect one, right? You want it to sit there on your steps so you can take all those great pictures of it and put it on Facebook. So you can carve it and your son can see how great it looks, right? So you find the right pumpkin, or I found the right pumpkin. I now turn around and I want to present it to Christian, and he's not in the cart. Oh my God. Anybody see my son? And this guy standing right here says, "Hey, see that guy running toward the door right there? He just took your kid." So I go bolting after this guy. I tackle him. I flip him over. He doesn't have my son. Uh-oh. I come back to this guy. I'm like, "Dude, he didn't have my kid." And the guy pulls my son out from around another cart and goes, "Here he is." Dude, that's a sick joke, man. Like, my heart is pounding out of my chest. Oh, and by the way, that dude's on the phone right now to the cops because I just committed a battery, right? The unlawful application of force to the person of another. That's a battery or an assault, depending on what jurisdiction you're in. Bottom line, brother, it's a crime. And it's on camera. There's 14 witnesses. Like, I'm going down for this thing. Who's going to defend me out there? Well, how are we going to defend me? I can't say I didn't do it. I need to say that I had a reasonable mistake of fact. How do I argue, or what do I put forth to show I had a reasonable mistake of fact? I know, let's call this guy to the stand and he'll clear everything up. He ain't going to talk. The bar isn't going to conveniently give you that guy. He's going to be conveniently not around. Now, I still need to get his testimony in. Can I take the stand and testify to it? Sure. Now, we'll talk in a later subject or a later segment about, the issues that I put forth by taking the stand. Certainly my credibility, my competence is now an issue. But bottom line, I can take the stand. So I take the stand and I am going to testify that I was in Trader Joe's and this guy told me, and here comes the objection, right? Objection, hearsay. Well, the argument is, no, I'm not offering this for its truth, because bottom line, what he told me, my kid was in that guy's arms, wasn't true. But I don't need it for its truth. I need it because I'm trying to establish I'm not guilty of battery because I had a reasonable mistake of fact. How do I show that I had a reasonable mistake of fact? The effect on the listener. When I heard that guy say, he's got your kid, I reacted. I was justified. I was reasonable, albeit mistaken because he didn't have my kid. I was reasonable in my mistake of fact. I'm not bringing it in for its truth. I'm only using it for the effect it had on the listener. So a hearsay objection would be sustained. I'm not trying to bring it in for its truth. Rather, I'm bringing it in for a limited purpose. It's not hearsay because I'm not bringing it in for its truth. So there, my friends, is the difference between truth of the matter asserted, where you need what was said in your case, versus not for its truth, where you don't. Big distinction, big area of confusion for students. Get it down, get yourself some points.